President Trump has now served nearly 1 full year in office. Inside the United States, it's been a consequential, seemingly non-stop breaking news year. White House advisors have come and gone, the FBI director was fired, and the push to repeal parts of the Affordable Care Act continues. Trump's approach to foreign affairs has also made quite a few headlines, so we wanted to take a look back at some of his most controversial foreign policies. Hey guys, I'm Versha. I know many of you have very strong opinions about what Trump's presidency means for the US, and even the world. So let's discuss some of what he's done so far. Trump's approach to immigration dominated his campaign.
No, don't worry about it. We're going to build the wall. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
And it's also dominated the news cycle in his first year in office. He put a travel ban on refugees from 7 Muslim-majority countries in January 2017. Opponents of the ban say that it's anti-Muslim prejudice, but Trump says the ban is, quote, not about religion. This is about terror and keeping our country safe. The ban against citizens from Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen went into effect immediately, but it was then halted after being challenged in court. After a continued back and forth between Trump's administration and the courts, finally, a third version of the ban was allowed to proceed by the US Supreme Court in December, but pending 2 federal appeals. Now, the updated list bans most citizens of Iran, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Chad, and North Korea, and some citizens of Venezuela. About 2 weeks after the decision, the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Trump had once again exceeded his authority because it was in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. It basically means the court found that Trump did not demonstrate that these banned individuals would be, quote, detrimental to the interests of the United States, but they put their decision on hold pending review by the Supreme Court. This means that, for now, the third iteration of Trump's travel ban will remain in effect. World leaders from Iran have called the ban insulting.
It's misguided, and it is regrettable that the Supreme Court decided to overrule the decisions of the previous courts, or at least consider overruling them. The citizens of the countries on the list have never participated in any act of terrorism against the United States, and yet they are punished.
Even U.S. allies like the United Kingdom, France, and Germany have condemned this move. But Australia, which has taken its own hardline stance on immigration, is one of the few countries who have openly supported it. The Trump administration has also made waves in U.S. immigration policy by recently announcing that they will revoke the temporary protected status granted to people from Nicaragua, Haiti, and El Salvador. This affects approximately 2,500 Nicaraguans, 59,000 Haitians, and possibly 200,000 Salvadorans. Some immigrants from these countries were allowed to stay in the U.S. due to a program called Temporary Protected Status. It was signed into law in 1990 by Republican President George Bush. This program allowed foreigners fleeing deplorable conditions like wars and natural disasters to stay in the U.S. Though Trump is seemingly fulfilling his campaign promise to reduce both legal and illegal immigration, there is pushback from both Democrats and Republicans asking for him to reconsider ending these humanitarian programs. These kinds of policies and the global reaction to them has led America to be increasingly isolated from other countries. Trump's decision to withdraw the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accords is the most well-known example of this.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
The Paris Climate Accords are a joint agreement among almost all the countries in the world to meet certain goals to combat climate change. The agreement was reached in 2015 under the Obama administration. After Trump made his announcement, Nicaragua signed the accords and Syria announced its intention to join as well. That makes the United States the only country in the world that refuses to honor it. Another example is Trump's stance on Pakistan. In his first tweet of 2018, Trump said, "The United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more." That tweet set off a firestorm, with Pakistan's top government officials calling it, quote, completely incomprehensible, and saying it struck with great insensitivity at the trust between the two nations. Now, it's true that Pakistan has a real terrorism problem that sprawls across and affects many countries, but it's still up for debate whether cutting aid to the country is the right move to fight it. What's also interesting is that other countries watching these exchanges are stepping in where Trump is stepping out. In the case of Pakistan in this tweet, it's China. China re-expressed their support for Pakistan after the incident, saying the responsibility of combating terror outfits cannot be placed on any particular country. This is something we've heard echoed from other foreign policy observers and experts over the past year. Where US leadership is creating a vacuum in global affairs, China and Russia are stepping in to fill the void. Analysts have said American allies in Asia are unnerved by Trump's threats against North Korea, and China has seen this as a chance to capitalize on the fear and confusion and emerge as a sober-minded power in the region. When the US imposed sanctions on Venezuela in 2017, Russia stepped in and offered them money. Some of this is geopolitics as usual. Of course, countries who seek to gain more power will take advantage of certain situations. But Trump's foreign policy strategy is what dictates just how much influence the US has around the world. It's worth mentioning that he has not started any new wars as president, though he has certainly stepped up the rhetoric with countries like North Korea and Iran. The US is still dropping bombs on the Middle East. Trade partnerships in Asia are being formed without the involvement of the US. And allies in the European Union are wondering just what direction they should take. As his foreign policy continues to take shape in his second year as president, we'll continue to monitor the effects of Trump's America First policies. Donald Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin is one of the most talked about items in world affairs, and Putin is certainly one of the world leaders to watch in 2018. Check out this video to the right that details what's coming up in Russia this year and who else you should be paying attention to. Thanks for watching Now This World, and don't forget to like and subscribe.